These are 5 signs that maybe you should not retire early. Let's go for a walk and we'll talk about them. You know, on my channel, I talk a lot about the advantages of retiring early, but it's not right for everybody. And so in today's video, I'm going to talk about some of the signs that you should pay attention to. And if you see any of these, maybe you need to think, I'm not quite ready to retire yet, hopefully soon, but I need to address these issues before I retire early. And the first one is, if you don't know what you want to do in retirement, you know, you're going to have a lot of free time. You'll be surprised at how much time is in a day. And if you don't know how you're going to spend at least some of that, I really encourage you to do some reflective work before you retire. I think the best time to do this reflective work is before you make the leap, before you make the decision to retire. And I think for most people, that journey looks anywhere like 40 to 100 hours of work, right? There's some seminal books that I think you should read. I talk about them in my channel. If you do a search on my channel for the 5 books that I think every soon-to-be retiree should read, I think that'll be really helpful. But I do encourage you to do your reflective work before you retire. I think it's easier to do it. I think it's easier to be in the right frame of mind if you haven't pulled the trigger yet on retiring. So that's warning sign number 1, that maybe you shouldn't retire quite yet. Okay, let's move on to warning sign number 2, and this is a good one. You know, if you truly love your job, if you love your job, you love what you get to do, you enjoy the people that you work with, that's a really good sign. And I just encourage you to be honest with yourself, because a lot of people say that they love their job, but underneath, do they really? And the litmus test that I use, the question I ask my clients is, if you won the lottery this weekend, do you think you'd still be at work a month later? You know, if you won $100 million in the lottery, God bless, I hope it happens to us. Interestingly, they say that that doesn't change your level of happiness. So maybe we all should be careful what we wish for. But the question here is, if you won the lottery, do you really think you'd still be working a month later? And I'd say well over 90% of the time when I ask somebody that question, outside of the context where they don't know that the reason I'm asking is to get some insights as to how much they really love their job. You know, the vast majority of the time when I ask that question, people say, oh, heck no, you know, I won't work. And studies show that, unfortunately, only 20% of us, when we're asked anonymously in a survey, only 20% of people say that they love their job. Sorry, the sun's going down, the mosquitoes are getting bad, so I'm trying to keep them off of me. So that's, if you love your job, maybe think about not retiring, particularly if you have a fair amount of flexibility. You know, if you feel you get enough vacation, you can do the things that you want to do, whether that's spend time with your adult children, or that is traveling, or whatever it is. If you feel like, you know, I get a fair amount of time in order to be able to do those things. You know, people ask me all the time, hey, Azul, why aren't you retired yet? And, you know, I'm fortunate. I fall into that 20% of the category that I really do love what I get to do, and helping families and guide them through it. Now, you know, at some point, you know, my health isn't going to last forever also. But the other thing is, you know, my company's pretty generous with vacation and then sabbaticals and things like that. So I feel I have a lot of flexibility. So that's a warning sign that maybe it's not quite time for you to retire yet either, if you love your job and you have the flexibility to pursue things. So the one thing I would caution you is, on your deathbed, you know, if you knew you were dying and you know, the doctor said, okay, we have one last thing, we can give you this shot, and you're going to get another 24 hours. And you know, your family had been called in and you thought you were going to die that day. And the doc's like, hey, we just thought of something. We can give you this shot. You got an extra day. You know, you're going to spend that day hugging and loving and talking to the people that matter in your life. You're not going to spend that day trying to close another deal or get another thing done at work. So even if you love your job, you still need to think about, you know, there's this other chapter outside of my work life. for most of us, not all of us. I mean, you look at Warren Buffett, he's 92 years old, and you know, he says he's still working because he skips to work every day. He can't imagine a life outside of work. And you know, and here's a guy, he has won the lottery several times over. He's worth over $100 billion, billion with a B. So there are people that, you know, are going to do that right up until they die, and that's great for them. But I think for most of us, it's not the right thing for most of us. Okay, getting on to some really important things. The next one is, you know, if you look at the numbers and you say, you know, the lifestyle I'm going to have in retirement is not one that I'm excited about. I would rather keep working than live under the lifestyle that my current financial situation, my current retirement savings would allow me to live on. And I think the extreme of that is somebody that says, you know, I have nothing. I'm going to live on Social Security, and I'd much rather keep working than, you know, live on the type of lifestyle that I can live on with just Social Security. So if that's you, I think it's perfectly logical. I think that makes sense. And I wish you luck being able to save some money and to get yourself out of that situation. But I think that makes a lot of sense. The next one is if you have a lot of debt. And the only way you can pay off this debt is to continue to work. You know, debt, it's easy to become the slave, and the debt becomes the master. And do what you can to pay that off so that you have the freedom to do what's right for you. But, you know, if you have these obligations, if you have a lot of debt, for folks in that situation, oftentimes continuing to work and having the ability to pay down that debt is really important. Okay, and then the last one that I want to go into is some people really enjoy working, as a way to give back. I used to go to a church when my kids were younger, and there was a member of the church that was a very successful business person, very, very good at what he did. And he basically donated his entire salary to the church. And that's what gave him joy. That's what gave him meaning in his life. And that was his service. He felt that, you know, God had blessed him. And his service and his way to give back is, I like what I do. I'm going to continue to work, and it's going to fund all of these other programs that are going to make other people's lives better. And in a similar vein, you know, it's not so much service, but it's helping others. You know, if we have adult children, and you're in a position where, you know, maybe in 3 years, you can be generous with your kids. If you work 3 more years, you can set up some money for them. That might take them 10 or 15 years to earn and to save on their own, giving them flexibility to maybe pursue what their true passion is and need to worry less about making money. So those are the main reasons I think it might make sense to not retire. And if you enjoyed this video, I know you're going to enjoy this video up here that talks about the average income for an American in retirement, and this video down here that talks about the opposite of this video, 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.